What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Race to Be Good show. My name is Jason Lee, and I am your host for today's episode. And in this podcast, we talk about productivity, creativity, and lifestyle. And we also talk about how you can become a better person every single day. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss another episode. So I don't want to waste another minute of your time, so let's dive straight in. So today I want to talk about the horrible things that happen to us in our lives. I'm not here to tell you whether it will or won't happen, whether you're going to get through it or not, but what I'm going to tell you is how our behavior towards these kind of situations are basically trained. We are all basically trained like we're trained like dogs by our parents to be able to have a proper reaction or a proper thinking about these situations. And before that, I just want to quickly define the difference between accident and incident. And you'll see why I'm defining these for you. So, accident is an unfortunate incident that happens unexpectedly and unintentionally, typically resulting in damage or injury. Now, for an incident, it is just an event or occurrence. And I don't know about you, but this is just straight up Google definition of these two words. But so in my opinion, I think mainly we use accident is for something that happens big, that usually involves someone else's health. And it can be either permanent or impermanent, big or small. And I think an incident is an event that causes a mental change or a mental pain as much as the accident does. So if you weren't interested in that at all, that was just for you to be able to understand why I'm going to use these words differently in this episode. A lot of people find it really inappropriate to laugh at a funeral. And yes, I agree. It is very inappropriate for you to laugh at a funeral. It basically disrespects someone else's deceased person and family. And I'm not trying to say that you should laugh, that I laugh at funerals or you should laugh at funerals, but what I'm trying to point out is that there is a certain expectation, there's a certain way, quote unquote, that you should act at a certain event that happened, right? And in these big events like somebody dying, heartbreaks, these big events where we know how to exactly deal with, mainly because it helps us grieve and it helps us go through the emotions. But a lot of the time where little problems or little accidents and incidents happens in our life, we carry this negative response, this negative behavior go outside of that little special occasions, that special time where our grief and our sadness is really needed. Just trust me, I will keep explaining. When it comes to small accidents and incidents, a lot of people tends to be, we get angry, we get sad, we get mad all the time. And maybe because we spilled coffee, maybe one of our tires popped or deflated, or when we sprained our ankle. And funny story is, I want to tell you about sprained ankles. So in my family, literally, I am the one with the most medical conditions and if there's anybody that needs medical attention in my family, it is me. I am not that anymore, kind of, I think. But before, I used to have the most bruises, been hit by vehicles the most, have sprained my ankles 3 or 4 times during school. And I had surgery when I was in 3rd grade, and I broke my front tooth, which has been replaced in 5th grade. You get the point. So basically, I have the most amount of medical problems in the family, and this was a problem. I was sad, and I didn't really know how to deal with it because I was only trained. I think a lot of us are sad because we don't know what to do. And we do the one thing that we know how to do. It's just being sad, being contemplated, and being mad about the world that X and X happened to us. And I think this is very important if you're having the same situation as me. So, I remember the first time I sprained my ankle. It was in middle school. I jumped the stairs, didn't land well, sprained my ankle for the first time. The mental effect that it got on me was I was very frustrated. I didn't know what to do again. And I basically just I was like, I'm never going to get through this, even though it was just a sprained ankle. I didn't have the patience. So I was I was really scared. I didn't know what to do, and I paid a lot of the attention to what I couldn't do. I wasn't able to run. I wasn't able to do the activities that I love to do. I had to be on crutches, and I always focused on the things that I couldn't do, that I never saw the bigger scheme, or the how lucky I was that God didn't break my legs. Um, you know, and it happened again in freshman year, and pretty much the same story happened, but the third time that it happened, it was different. So my dad was called, and he drove to the front of school, basically limped to the front, and I got into the car, and before we even started the car, we were just laughing the crud out. Like, we were just laughing for 1 minute straight. And I didn't know at the time why it was so funny, but now looking back, I was like, did it again for like the third time, and it was so dumb. All these things are just little things, but sometimes our carelessness really get out of hand sometimes. And I just did it so many times that my dad was like, "You've got to be kidding me." And that's why I think we laugh so much. And I can already hear some of you saying that, oh, why my dad should be telling me how irresponsible I am, how bad I take care of myself, my body, and how I should be ashamed for doing that to my body. I could be doing so much more stuff. Blah, blah, blah. I get it. Okay, I get it. What made me realize the third time that I did this, I was like, I was being too angry in the past. I was being way too emotional, and I was over exaggerating the situation that was actually happening. And I realized the one thing, being sad, being overthinking about the situation that I was in wasn't gonna help my leg heal any faster. So instead, I decided, I was like, you know what? Let's just enjoy the time off that I get. Let's just enjoy not doing physical activities, not being able to go to the gym. Let's just enjoy whatever it is that I have. Let's just enjoy the time that I have extra. So, and literally that was like my awakening, my aha moment, where I was like, wow, there's a lot of things in life that are less important, that are less impactful than this. But if I can use the same mentality, to those problems, I would have way happier life. And that's exactly what I did. This little bubble, and this little, 20% of our major problems are usually deserve the most attention, deserve grief. A lot of the times, it does help to go through those emotions, to be sad, to be mad, so that it helps us move on. Blame a lot on what's happening to us. You drop your phone, you cracked it, you spilled coffee to someone else, you stepped on something, you spilled coffee on yourself. Those little things that shouldn't really make a huge difference used to piss me off so many times. And I would just get angry, emotional at the world pretty much every single day. And as you can tell, it was not healthy. If you're doing this, I really want you to stop, because you're literally making yourself miserable. There's literally two routes that can happen after a small incident or accident happen to you. Let's say you get a cut. Either one, you can be like, cool, let's move on. Put a band-aid on it, forget it. Or you can sit there, you can dwell on it, and how this thing was in the way, how that thing was in the way, and why is the world treating me like this. You can do that all day long, right? But it isn't gonna solve the problem. Sometimes letting go of the problem usually solves your problem. So the other day, I was actually filming one of these episodes, and if you don't know, this podcast is also available on YouTube, and if you guys want to check it out, you guys can. It is at Jason Lee. But when I was recording, I actually usually use a lav mic, which I don't right at the moment. But what you needed to do was you need to turn on the switch for be able to work. And I basically was recording a full-on episode without turning it on, and there's basically no audio, so it was kind of useless. Now, I had two choices then. I could either say, screw life, I hate the world, I hate myself, never do it again, or I just I laugh about it and I re-record it. Trying harder, just move on. And as you can tell, I chose the second option, and just mainly because I know that a lot of the like it's gonna keep happening to me once in a while, and I can't stop it, but I can control what is in front of me. My choice of whether to keep moving on, to laugh about it, to learn from my mistake, or to dwell on it all the time. Now, not all problems you can just let go. Some problems does require a lot of attention to be able to be solved, but a lot of the little things that happens in our life that brings us negativity is mainly because of you, because you let it impact you so much that it become in habit, right? We've been taught as little kids, whenever we make a mistake, to never do it again because of this huge consequence, right? And in school, if we don't do well, there's a huge consequence. And the amount of negativity that is in there is so much that even in our daily lives, we let that kind of mentality that has been that has been ingrained into our heads affect how we live and affect our happiness level. And I just don't think that's right. Now, I'm not going to say that in every situation you should ignore it, but this is how I do it. So basically, every single time something happens, I basically evaluate, hey, does this need attention? Does this need the amount of emotional distress that my body gives? And if it does, cool. But I draw a line. I draw a line where it becomes just useless. Like, let's just say I fell down the stairs. Unlucky. Cool. It is completely different from somebody dying. You gotta have this line of where, like, yes, this requires my attention, and I think you already have this line of some sort, but I think it is good that you distinct this line so that you know what is and what not. So fell down the stairs, yes, I can break a leg or two, right? But like, if you're gonna dwell on, why I was so stupid, why the stair was so long, why I slept, why everything was not in the right place, the leg is never gonna heal itself. But if somebody died, right, your emotions, it's not something that you can just throw away. It is bottled up. It is inside you, and that kind of emotion needs to be let out. And that's where I draw the line. If the emotion is required from me, if I'm feeling so much that I can't stop it, that is where I draw the line. That is where I take my time to process what I'm doing, to realize what the heck I'm doing. There's a story that I want to share with you that I also got from a book that is called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. So you want to check it out. It is on Amazon, and it is a really good book for teenagers and also not teenagers too. So check it out. So the basically story that goes like this. There's a man, he was on an airplane. His life was going really good, but out of nowhere, on an airplane accident, he lost his legs. But instead of crying and obsessing over this, when somebody else asked him why he was able to stay super positive, he said this: "You know something? Before all this happened to me, there were 10,000 things I could do. Now there are 9,000. I could spend the rest of my life dwelling on the 1,000 that I lost, but I choose to focus on the 9,000 that are left." W. Mitchell, motivational speaker. As you can see, it is just a matter about how you look at life. You have a decision to make whenever something happens to you. It is not out of your control about how you behave about it. It is out of your control that something happens to you. W. Mitchell didn't know that he was going to be on a plane crash, right? But he chooses to focus on the things that matters to him the most, the 9,000 that he had left. And if you're doing this, right, and somebody tells you, hey, why aren't you X and X? Or why aren't you behaving like how everybody else is behaving? Someone else just cut you, or you bumped into somebody else and you don't feel ashamed about it. I say, don't give a crap about them. Yeah, say sorry to them. You don't escalate the situation and things get worse. But don't let it consume your head. Don't let the negativity be in your head for another second. Just let it go. Let the negativity that is around you go. You know why kids are so much more happier than adults? Mainly because, number one, they laugh as pretty much 10 or 20 times more than an average adult does. And number two, they don't care pretty much about anything in the world. They only care about what makes them happy, what they feel like in the moment, and they only eat, they sleep, play, repeat. And as kids grow up, parents usually over exaggerate the importance of the problem. And usually that's how we are trained to become more and more negative, or we have a certain we have a certain way of dealing with situations and stuff like that. So if I can get you to understand after listening to this episode, is that you can control what's going on, and if you want to be more happy, just let go of the things that hurt you. Just forgive people a lot of the times. Forgive yourself for doing a lot of things at the times. Understanding that little incidents and accidents can happen all the time, it's going to make you overall a very happier person. I did that, and I cannot be more grateful for understanding that. So that's why I want to pass on to you. But that's it for this week's episode, guys. I really do put a lot of work into these episodes that you're listening to and seeing. So, but if you have any questions or recommendations, you guys can DM me at LeeJason with 2 N's, LeJason_, and you can DM me on there, or you can email me questions and recommendations at askjasonlee@gmail.com. So I hope you guys enjoy the episode, and if you do, don't forget to share it with your friends and family who need it the most. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.